Freddy The Eighth. We are back.
That's not 6 to go. Play on.
Come on.
Bang. See you later, champ.
Call an ambulance.
Still going. Tony Staggs.
Happy's on his way again. Sidestep him, Cole. He's on the ground. Oh, go, Freddy.
What's going through his brain?
Oh, Andrew Jordan. What has happened there?
Oh, wow. Big Papa.
Stop it. He's taking the mickey. I'd like to see that.
I've got nothing. Wow.
Wowee, there it is.
Hello, it's that time of the week again. Freddy and the Eighth. Matt Thompson in the chair for James Bracey again this week, and I'm pleased the boys have let me back. How are you, Freddy?
You
Eighth?
look fantastic today.
Do I?
Yeah, you're channeling that sort of Brokeback Mountain cowboy.
Brokeback Mountain. Thinking more John Wayne. You're still looking after the sponsors, I can see as well.
Yeah, that's right. Well,
You've come in very relaxed today. Have a look at you.
I've been up since 5:45. How good is it?
How's Alice?
Getting up at 5:45, not getting home at 5:45.
You look very fresh.
How the world has changed.
Well, there'll be a few sore heads around Brisbane this weekend. Magic round. Party time, boys.
Awesome.
We missed it last year because of COVID, but I remember that first one a couple of years ago. Great for Brisbane, and the punters go nuts. Like there's blokes that don't sleep all weekend.
How good's that?
Awesome. I love how you see there's a game playing and there's the other team in the tunnel just sort of sitting there watching. Like they don't get to do that normally. That
So how many
never
change
happens.
rooms have they got at Suncorp?
They'd have 4.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's a logistical exercise getting them in and out, isn't it?
It's a great idea. Taken from here. How long have England been doing it for? Super League.
Well, yeah, 10 years maybe.
Yeah.
They take it on the road too. They took it to Wembley. I think they do it in Old Trafford.
Suncorp memories, good or bad, as players?
Only played there once. It was my sort of comeback Origin game. We got beat. We're in front and should have won. I think Logie ended up doing a couple of nice kicks, put us under pressure. So it's an amazing stadium. I remember standing next to Finchy in the anthem and just looking around the stadium going, what an arena.
How'd you go there? Did you play there much?
That was probably one of my favourite stadiums to play at because it was always a fast surface and the crowd's right on you. We played the opening of the new 2002, 2003. What do you reckon?
Around there sometime.
Yeah, and we rolled Brisbane up there. First game, 52,000. Got them quite well too by 20 or 30 points. And then we came back 2 weeks later, the opening game 1 of Origin, and pumped them then too. Good memories.
The game last year,
Remember when it was all
the last
sandy
game,
to start with?
yeah. Fitchy and Hodjo, they played in the first.
Hodjo did his
They
knee,
might have been one
yeah.
of the openers there as well, and they both did their knees in the same game. Last year's Origin, the last one, I've never been at an atmosphere in any sporting event as good as that. That was so loud and thick.
Well, it's the sort of prototype for a stadium, isn't it? The way it's built. It's built upwards, so you really, the atmosphere gets trapped inside. Joey, you're picking 6, 7 and 9 for New South Wales today. Crucial
Two
positions.
positions picked himself, and one I stewed on for a week.
That's called a teaser in the business.
Yeah.
So hold on to your thoughts there.
Chopped and
Oh, do we go
changed,
to a break?
chopped and changed.
Are we going to a break?
No.
Oh, don't you tease into a break?
No, you don't have to tease into a break.
Oh.
My man here, you're all over your broadcasting, aren't you? You know all the terminology. I got to say,
Vot.
sot. I reckon you're in. I reckon you're in career best form. Did you see him on 100% footy on Monday night, filling in for Gus?
It's on at 10 o'clock.
You can watch it
I'm
on
like
9
that.
now, like most people will be watching us right now.
I haven't got a computer.
So you haven't seen him.
No.
He was very, very good. You got your week that was
Yes.
very popular. Your commentary, I think you've stepped it up.
Oh, thank
The
you.
week that was really good.
The bloke that helps me with that,
Yeah.
he does a great job. I send him through stuff to say, put this in.
Is
None
this
of it ever
helps
makes it.
or does? The bloke that helps or does this?
He's my ghost videoer.
I'm sort of thinking there might be a bit of a push on for Freddie to get a Logie this year.
Is there a Logie?
Do you remember when Carl won the gold Logie
When he's maggot.
back in the
Turn
day?
up the next day.
Yeah. He
But there
turned
was
up the next day, didn't even have his hair plugs in. Sorry, Carl. It's that time of year, you're a Queenslander. I was in here about 3 weeks ago. Remember when my back was shot before I got the injection? And I'm walking up to wardrobe, and next thing, out walks Carl. gives me a slap on the backside as hard as you can. I'm like, watch the back. Anyway, yeah, Carl was full of it.
Well, I was just going to say it was a big network push to get Carl the gold Logie. So I think we should throw ourselves behind Freddie.
Leave me out of the Logies.
Maybe
Didn't you
you
go
could-
to the Logies? Was that the hack?
Yes. I went
You were with him,
Logies,
weren't
but I swore that I wouldn't have a drink there. So I didn't have a drink. So I sat with Rabs the whole night just watching people come undone. It was just, and you know when you're having a beer, you can see about this far in front of your face. Mate, that night I was like a hammerhead shark. I'd see everything. My vision was unbelievable.
Did you see anything in particular that we can broadcast on the show?
Oh,
Were you
mate.
with the hack? Did you see the hack come undone?
Grant Hackett.
Yeah.
He was at my table. Moving on.
We could find a few different roles for you around the network. Maybe you could fill in for Peter Overton.
Pete. He
How do
does
you
a
reckon
great
you'd
job.
go?
With Pete.
Filling
read
in
the
for him.
news.
Read the
Reading the
news.
news. That's what I mean. That'd be a toughie.
What about sitting
A bit
next
negative for me, the news at the moment.
You and Ali, you could take over from Carl for a week.
He
could
does,
fill in.
I like watching them in the morning. They've actually got a good little vibe going.
What about Who Wants to Be a Millionaire?
Eddie.
How do you reckon
No.
he'd go?
You know what his go is? Funniest home videos. That'd be yours. Oh, look at the cat. Look at the cat. It's water skiing. Oh, how good's that? Come back to Freddie. That used to be one of my favourites.
Do you think we abandoned our Logies push for Freddie? It got legs, this does it?
Let's give it another year.
You know what would make this show even better if we could sit and have a beer here.
At
That'd make the show really
At 8 o'clock.
It's 8 o'clock in the morning.
It's 4 o'clock somewhere in the world. It's a Gary Jones coming at me.
Good start, boys. Right, whiteboards at the ready. We're going to get you to rate out of 10
Righto.
some magic moments from the season so far.
Yep.
Oh, moment one. I think I know the score for this. What about Kickour's try-saving tackle against Melbourne in the game of the year at Penrith?
Remember
out of 10.
Yeah, that is. I was thinking, you know what? It's so funny. I was thinking about that on the way down. I was just speaking to the boss about, I don't know what it was. And I was thinking about that moment for some reason.
The
So-
boss, what, Ginge?
No.
Is Ginge still running Channel 9?
No, well,
He hasn't been the CEO
he's like
for
the
about
god,
6 years.
He's like the
As I
godfather.
said, I haven't got a computer.
He's on the board, isn't he?
I don't know. Let's stay away from those dangerous topics, shall we? Out of 10,
Yeah, I've
Kick
got
out?
that. I've got that.
I've gone that.
so you're hard to please.
Well, I don't watch defence. I like attack. And if you give him a 10, you got nowhere to go.
You know what? The thing I liked about it, he nearly went to take a dive and get a penalty, and then I thought, you know what? I better get up. And he did get up, and I reckon it's just the greatest lesson to so many players. So many players take dives now.
tissue.
And
That's
he
my
was over the
favourite.
other side of the field, wasn't he?
Other side
Had
of the
to
field.
make all the ground.
I don't know how Justin Olam didn't score. That was one of the mysteries.
Yeah. Well, they wouldn't be unbeaten if it wasn't for that. Okay. Moment 2 out of 10. Ryan James' first try
Did you pull that out of your pocket?
in over 600 days out of the NRL when he scored down there in Canberra. Great moment. Come back from, is it 2 ACLs in
Yeah.
2.5
Yeah.
years?
Have a look at Mr. Negative. Mate, the James family is just in the fetal position. Don't worry about him, Ryan.
Mate, if you haven't scored for 600, you're not being very good value. Sorry, Ryan.
Josh Addo-Carr's 6-try performance last week. Out of 10, boys.
You might have to spit on it.
Yeah.
What's that?
Next time, can we get some whiteboard cleaner so we can get this sorted out? Oh,
Mate, how do you get off otherwise?
Mate, what about COVID?
That's why I was so close.
when's James coming back? Josh Addo-Carr, 9 out of 10. Pretty hard to beat.
Yeah.
Hasn't been done for how long?
50-something years.
71 years.
50-something.
Jack Troy.
There you go.
Two first.
Just about those tries, though. I mean, they're made to look easy, but they're not, are they? I mean, you've got a
couple
really
of them.
small
Yeah.
corridor
Mate, two of
to
them.
get down. It's only his speed that gets him
Two
there.
of
isn't
them
it?
Damien Cook was chasing. And he just went, mighty mouse burnt.
A couple of them were good.
Yeah.
He's such a good finisher.
Personality player.
What a winger.
I think his left centre's doing a pretty good job at the moment. The man who Kickow held up, Justin Olam.
Just on him, I asked Middo this morning, and he's not exactly sure, so we have to look into it. And you probably don't want the answer to be yes. He's played for PNG, Justin Olam. They're a Tier 2 nation. Could he qualify for Queensland?
or if he'd come to Queensland before the age of 13, and you just got to pass some criteria. But that's the main one.
Right.
You got to pretty much get there at the start of high school. And if you don't do that, you pretty much don't qualify.
Just shows clubs, if you're willing to really coach up players from a reasonable age. P&G, could you imagine how many players are there? Like, they're all built like Justin Olive. Then once again, we talk about Fiji. Pacifica with Samoa and Tonga, we haven't gone there and recruited players. They're all pretty much from New Zealand or Australia. Anyway.
Well, the second, Fiji's second biggest export, what is it?
Rugby union, rugby league players.
Wingers, aren't they?
Wingers. That
Not
was one of
Fiji
my-
bitter?
They're in France.
Fiji Waters.
They're all in
number one.
France. There's heaps of
They are, aren't they? Yeah.
Oh, mate, athletes. They're just such good athletes. And the biggest problem I found when we went over there for those times, the fields are awful, as you can imagine. They're just crap. And, you know, by the time you get them, even when they're 20, 21 years old, like even Eto, you know, he's 23, 24, mate. His knees are like 80-year-old man's knees.
Right.
Just from, you know, running around on just grounds.
They don't all have boots either, do they?
None of them have. No, they play one touch. So, you know, here we play pick-up game of touch. It's 6 touches. Over there, it's 1 touch. So that's why their skills are so good. Halfbacks, make sure you play touch footy when you're young.
You mentioned Adam Reynolds there, boys. I can't believe the contract negotiation thing's still going on after they were beaten 50-0 last week. Is that not reinforcement that Souths have to do something to try to keep him, do you think?
Well,
So
I don't
they've
know if
made
they're in a
their
position to, are they? They mustn't be, because I know the term seems to be.
But they've got Walker
One
and
of the
Gagai off
challenges.
contract as well. So surely there's a way that if they want to keep Adam Reynolds, there's got to be a way that they can. Is it not critical for them that they do, given what happened last week? Is that not a
I
demonstration?
wonder what
of how
Jason
important it is?
Demetrio, what role he's playing here. Like, is he apparently the coach going forward? Is that what? Yeah.
From next year?
Yeah. Is that in stone?
I believe so.
Yeah, right.
Unless Wayne changes
I
his
wonder
mind.
what role Jason's playing here, or is it Blake Solly who's doing all the decision making?
Well, if you boys are coach of South, what are you doing there?
I've signed him for 2 years.
2 years, but I don't think he wants 2 years. I think that's part of the drama.
We'd say, mate, righto, we'll come together in the middle. Mediation. Not enough mediation in my time. Give and take. So, right, you want 3 years? You back yourself. We'll sign you for 2. If you're playing well, we'll sign you up for another 2 at the end of the 2 years.
Well, I think some of the other teams are throwing up 4. For some reason, the security's a really big thing in his life at the moment.
It's a big move. He's got a young family. If it was to move him, for instance, to Brisbane or somewhere else, I think Cronulla and Brisbane, they're the ones there.
These are the sort of negotiations that get fans offside because he's played over 200 games for one club. And yet, I mean, your brother's a great example as well. Forced out of Newcastle because of salary cap constraints. Is that not... Is that...
We won the comp the next year.
It was a handbrake. But should
wonderful.
clubs be faced with this conundrum
I
of
don't
having to
think
get
it's-
rid of long-term
I don't
players?
think it's all the club's fault. Like Joey said, sometimes you've got to think about the club. I think
But
there's a
should there not be
balance
some
here.
salary cap dispensation
Oh,
for
absolutely.
long-serving
For
players?
sure.
Yeah, but then
Especially
also,
local juniors.
but then also, like, would the Roosters get an opportunity, or some of the other clubs that have smaller junior leagues ever have an opportunity to take advantage
I just
of
think
that?
local juniors and developing clubs, for instance, South produced a lot of players. Penrith produced a lot of players. Newcastle, Brisbane, even the Warriors. They bring these young players on and educate them and might put them through school from the age of 14, 15, and then they get to 18, 19, and you can't keep everyone. And then they go to other clubs. I think if you're a local junior and you play, whether it's 8 years or 10 years or over 200 games, they should go on the salary cap, maybe 75% or even 100% dispensation. Because, mate, the tentacles of Adam Reynolds out in the South Sydney community touches pretty much everyone.
But a move like that under the salary cap would encourage development at clubs.
This is where the country system would work. So if you balance Penrith with a smaller country junior league,
Well, they're in
and so the Roosters have got, at the moment, Central Coast, which fits really well for the Roosters. They've got a small junior league, but Central Coast is most likely the biggest outside Sydney. And then that way you can then have that system as well. So if you go and look after a player and develop them, and then if someone come from that system, another club went and got them, then there'd be a fee that was attached to it. And then if they come through your club, then maybe there's some dispensation. So there's one way for clubs not just to put their name or logo, on an area. It's about going there and developing that area so you get the benefit through salary cap. And that's
someone
where
like Victor.
coaches will jump into it.
Someone like Victor Radley, who's born and bred in the eastern suburbs, played all his junior footy in the eastern suburbs, or how Luke Ricketson was. Victor should never ever play for another club other than the Roosters, because everyone in the community just buys in. After a Roosters win, you go down the beach, all people are talking about is Victor, the inflictor.
Yeah, and with the 17th team coming in, development's going to be important to broaden the pool
Absolutely.
of players.
That's how you do it. You need to get the coaches on board. If the coaches don't see benefit in putting energy into an area or into anything, it won't happen because the coach is the first one they sacrifice. So, that's how they look. You can help look after the coaches by giving them some area to benefit from where they put their energy at the club.
If I was a coach, the first area I'd really shore up would be the Maldives. Just go over there all the time, recruiting players.
Fast 5 time, boys. Some good ones here this week.
Hey, how's you going, mediation?
Did you want to answer that?
Where's
Just want to cry. Okay, let's go. Fast 5.
Magic round. Should we hold the entire thing in New Zealand next year as repayment for their COVID sacrifices?
Yes.
what a great idea.
What a great idea.
Good surfing
The
spots
Nines was incredible.
It's awesome.
Oh, mate. When the Nines was at Eden Park, it was the best weekend. They do it really well over there.
Would you play it all at one? Could you play it at Eden Park and Mount Smart
Mount Smart.
Stadium? That wouldn't be a bad thing to do.
No, I just think... it's gone blank. What's
Eden Park?
Eden Park is right in the centre of town.
Had the biggest blue of my life with a parking inspector at Eden Park a couple of years back.
Fight.
Oh, verbal, yeah.
Did she bash you?
Yeah. I got in the commentary box in about 15 minutes until kick-off. Kept sending me to the wrong parking bay.
They do that.
Disaster.
Yeah.
So that's a yes. What is Fiji lager like, by the way?
Yeah,
I
it's
mentioned
good.
Is
Does
it
the
right?
job.
Yeah.
With
Does
what's the
Turbo's
muddy water stuff called?
Carver?
Oh, when we went there that year.
Actually, when I started out at Para, Mike Acevo came over. He goes, "You know my family." I said, "All right." His village is Tavarua, where it's a surfing island. He said, "You were with my uncles and cousins." He said, "You were drinking Fiji bitter and high tide Carver." And he said, at the end of the night, you just went Monty Python stuff. Can we put a side of Monty Python, the vomiting in the restaurant?
Get a bucket.
A vod or a sot?
Side.
Better get a bucket.
Does Turbo's 4 make Manly the most dangerous team in the comp if they make the finals?
No, I don't think they can beat. I don't think they can beat Melbourne or Penrith.
They need to be full strength. They've got a few front rows out at the moment. Marty's back this week. They need to be absolute full strength. But, yeah, I still don't think they're as good as the top
Do you think
4 or 5 teams.
Well, to win a comp, you've got to win 4 real tough
Yeah.
games against the top teams. I can't see them doing that in the finals.
Okay. Cole Flanagan yesterday, very emotional at a media conference. He was benched on the weekend at half-time.
So what happened?
Does
I
he-
never saw any of this, but I heard
Well, he was
about it.
questioned about his performance, and I think there were some questions along the lines of whether he's spoken to his father for some advice on how he's going, and he just got really upset in front of the media.
Really?
Does he need a break from the game?
No.
Does that show that he's? Does
No,
it
if
show?
anything, go back to lower grades and work on your game.
Go hard. It's most probably a lesson to Canterbury. You know,
Don't
I
put him
still
up.
haven't seen Joseph Sawali in front of a camera yet. Maybe he has been. I don't know.
Cole Flanagan speaks really well.
Yeah, Cole,
really,
well,
really
yeah, but there's a
But
time
clearly
of,
there's a lot of pressure on
There's
him
a
at the
real
moment.
time
don't
of
put him
pressure
up.
at the moment. Like, don't put him up. You know, if you don't need to, you know, he hasn't had that much practice.
Fair enough.
So,
Number 4 is Madge. Mad. Adam Dewey moved from 5/8 to centre, and Moses Mbai in the number 6 for the game against Newcastle. 2 weeks ago, he brained them at number 6 down
Brained
against
him
the
all
Dragons.
year. He's been the best player all year.
Yeah.
I don't know. There must
What's he
be
thinking there?
well, he
must
got
be
him.
some sort of reason behind it.
He got him back into the game. We'll give him a chance. Whether it was pretty late in the game.
How was he defensively?
I always think he's a centre. I think he's a really good centre. I think that's his position. And But I don't think moving Moses to 5'8", someone who's not really a 5'8" or hasn't played much, much 5'8" there lately. So, yeah, that's
The
a
form of
strange
Luke
one.
Brooks hasn't helped him much this year, though. Is that a fair comment?
Chop and change and dummy halves too.
True or false? Last one. The Dragons will beat Melbourne this week, given the Storm are without Munster, Grant, Brandon Smith, and maybe Ryan Pappenhausen, who's named in number 19.
I'm saying yes.
True.
He's tipped
True.
him.
I've tipped them.
Oh, it's
I
not.
had some carver this morning, though.
Well, that's
It's
their
just made me
handful of
relax.
best
It's
players.
made me
There's carver
relax.
tablets.
Where? It's all the
Dug
thing,
myself a
isn't it?
hole.
The whole thing about the carvers, the clapping and the drinking.
No, it's relaxing.
Yeah.
True or false? Yes, they will, or no, they won't.
No, they won't do it.
Melbourne to win. Kenny Bromwich has been named at hooker.
He's a good player. Chris Smith, what does he play? Is it,
They've got Smoothie on the bench, so they're number 4.
Defensively, they're so hard to break down, Melbourne.
Storm to win even without a lot of their stars. It's magic round this week, of course, but Josh Adokar, he was magic at the weekend.
Olam is with the ball. He toe pokes it to Adokar. Try. A break by Hines. He's inside the 20. Here comes Melbourne again. They'll slide all the way to the try line. Harry Grant. He gets it away for Addo to go for 3. Beautiful hand. Addo's looking for his first 4. He's got a 4. A brilliant first half. Here they go again. He's got 5. Give me 5, says the fox. And here's Olam with the ball. He puts in a real strong fed. Here goes Addo. Adokar. Now you take 6.
Well, player transfers has been a hot topic this week. We've talked a bit about that already, but gentlemen, Xavier Coates leaving Brisbane, signed by the Premiers. So you've got one of the stars of the Wooden Spooners off to the best team in the competition. Does that ring true? Does that pass the smell test as a fair and equitable player transfer system to you?
Well, they've lost Josh Adokar. So really, it's a like for like. Well, they haven't swapped clubs, but the money
but he's come from.
Do we
he's
know
come
the
from
money?
the
Do
worst
we-
team of the comp from last year.
Yeah.
Do we have an idea of the money? It'd be like I think unless you actually get the money, it's very hard to judge. But the fact is, Xavier Coates is obviously going to a really good club. He's going to learn a lot. You just look at Remus Smith, and just the consistency he's been able to pile up over the last couple of months. And like he had a tough start. Him and George Jennings, they had a
Yeah, they
tough
did.
start early. They lost a couple of games early, and you just showed faith in them, and they're a really good edge pairing now.
We'll bring this up because Gus sent a tweet saying the Premiers get to buy the best player from the Wooden Spoon team. Yep, that's a great system.
Is Gus on Twitter? Do you reckon he got much abuse?
He says he's been saying for 20 years it's not an equitable system. So I think
So
everyone
what, he's
agrees
bringing
that
up
Xavier
draft?
Coates will get plenty out of going to Melbourne.
What are you
The
saying?
question-
Like an internal draft?
Well,
draft.
look, unless a draft comes in, I don't think there's any way around this kind of stuff.
I've always thought of drafts. I'm a fan of a draft, definitely. And
So
that
you-
also keeps people at clubs because, you're more reluctant to put yourself on the open market because you don't really know where you're going to move. And yeah, so I'm a fan of a draft.
Been more competitive the last couple of weeks, Brisbane, haven't they? They should have won on the weekend.
good.
Should have been 2 in a row.
Yeah, they just couldn't hold their hands up by the end of that game. Yeah, they were really good. They're missing a half. You know, we were talking about Adam Reynolds before. If someone could just put some polish on the end of those sets, those
Kicking
blokes
games.
just work so hard, the big blokes.
If your kicking game is on, even if you're on the back foot. I used to watch Ricky Stewart. Ricky Stewart would keep the Raiders in games even when they were on the back foot, when they had players out. But his kicking game used to save them.
The 90 grand final.
Oh, he
Put
just
about
kicks in the
3 or
depth.
4 kicks. And in those days, kicking out was valuable.
It's when the ball used to bounce about 20 metres in the
That was
in the
those
air.
brown ones. those
He'd do
brown
about 3 or
skis.
4. He kicked it about
great
60 metres and rolled another 20. It was like, oh.
The old torpedo, hey?
Yeah.
Joey, whiteboard time. 6, 7, and 9.
Oh, here we go.
The big positions.
Okay, I'm going to go halfback to start with. This will surprise everyone.
What do you make of his form lately, Joey?
Yeah. No, he just keeps doing it. You know what? He hasn't been he hasn't had to put a 9 out of 10 performance. He's just been hands and heels. Still every week, 8 out of 10.
How's his goal kicking?
He just doesn't
8
miss.
from 8. He's
Yeah,
brilliant.
I reckon his kicking was a little bit dodgy early.
He did miss
He was,
one on
he
the
was
weekend.
missing a lot, I know, on the weekend, but he was missing a lot of first kicks, and you could see how he just tied that up.
Cookie,
Thoughts?
dummy half. Yeah, well, I think he's a byproduct of last couple of weeks. They've been struggling a bit, the Bunnies. And I think the new rules has affected him more than anyone because markers, they come back. When there's one marker, a quick play of the ball, without being too technical, markers are just coming straight back. So he gets out of dummy half. By the time he gets out, the markers have come back and they got a straight line.
Freddie, if, touch wood, something happened to Damien Cook, who are your other options?
I was about to ask Joey then. I was watching the footy the other day. A good mate of mine, little Pedro Samseris, and he was talking a lot about what you're talking about, is Cookie being a victim sometimes of South. They get a bit battered up sometimes if their forwards aren't going forward. Who's your replacement if he doesn't play?
Well, my replacement would probably be Coruscant. And then if Coruscant plays there, then Luai plays there. You know, it's like combinations are so important. Know how each other play. Certain calls, especially in the heat of the game when everything hits the wall and you can't breathe. Sometimes you can't talk, you're that tired. If you get a quick play of the ball, the dummy half looks at you, just like, let's go.
Number 6. Now, this is the
So number
the
6,
contentious
I
one.
tossed and turned and thought about it. Obviously, combinations are going to be really important. But if Cookie's hooker, for me, Origin, you don't need too many ball players. And I think New South Wales especially have always been really good over the years when they got big, strong running 5'8". So for me, it's Jack. On the left side, I think he plays very similar to Munster. When there's space, he just runs the ball, left side players, left foot step. And with his running game, when he runs at the right time, he generates really quick play the ball. So on the back of that, on the left side, that brings Latrell into play, brings Nathan into play on the long side, gets Cookie out of dummy half, makes him a threat playing around with him. But then also, if there was an injury, God forbid, at any of these positions, whoever you pick on the bench will do next week. Jack could easily slot in the centres, could even play fullback, slot it anywhere.
It's a big distribution of numbers there. You know, you talk about combos. Or you got 3 Roosters, 2 Souths. The rest are pretty, or 3 Souths, sorry. The rest are pretty scattered.
I just think at that level, like you got threat out of dummy half, you got a dominant halfback, threat everywhere. Where he comes into play, you bring him in and around the ball. Just need a running 5'8". But it all changes if Cook's not there and Coruscant are there. Obviously Luai, Cody, you know his combination with Latrell on the left. But for me, I think defensively and also in attack, it just gives you a really strong presence on that left side.
So Zach Lomax is out of Origin 1.
Yeah.
This is a mulligan selection coming up in a couple of weeks' time.
So I think
Could you
I'm
move
pretty sure
Whiten?
Cam Murray is out as well. So he's 4 to 6.
Right.
So at best, I think he's out till, when did he hurt it, 2 weeks ago? So
Well,
he's out till round 13, I'd say.
If he was out, I'd be very tempted to go and then maybe have another winger. Or there's a couple other guys knocking at the door.
Tony Staggs is back, not this week. Next
Yeah,
week.
but he's coming back from a knee.
I'm not sure next week.
And
Mate,
the other
you
ones,
need coming back from a knee. I think Josh
Jack Bird?
Hodgson's
Jack Bird,
Matt Burton
Stephen Crichton.
Matt Burton.
combinations. Matt
Stephen
Burton.
Crichton's been playing right. Matt Burton, how good's he?
Very good.
What a player!
Very, very good. Gee, a big story if you made the Origin side of the centres.
Mate,
Well,
you
mate,
know,
He'd
like,
handle it.
he handles anything. He handles anything. He did drop one on the weekend. That's the first thing. That's the first time I've ever seen him ever have any negative, I reckon, in any game he's played at Penrith. I just
think
can't
if-
remember him making any errors.
I think if Cam Murray's not there, I think Tyson pretty much goes straight in. I thought, well, on the weekend against the Raiders, he really stood up.
You left Jake Trebojevic out earlier. With Manly's resurgence, are you reconsidering his form?
Well, the bench next week, it just changing all the time. Depends how Pappenhausen comes back this week, how he performs. Daniel Safidi will be there.
Pumped to see Pab. So he's on the
19.
extended bench.
He's been named in 19.
I hope he
yeah.
plays.
Well,
I
he's
love
close
watching
to playing
him play.
last week, so he'll play
Yep.
up there.
Especially with the other guys. Really.
So is it shoulder? It's shoulder, isn't it?
You're
Against the
testing
Roosters.
my memory.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a shoulder. So he had a neck. He was out for a game early in the season with a sore neck, and that was only 1 week.
Imagine trying to beat that team at club level. That's what the team Manly used to have in the early 90s.
And Brisbane.
Broncos.
And that was Broncos in the late 90s.
Canberra.
Oh, Canberra.
You're asking the wrong bloke.
Well, Freddie usually brings in a couple of younger players. I've no doubt in the future Matt Burton will be playing Origin. So sometimes when you're playing, it's all about handling the build-up and handling the camp. Sometimes you get into camp and it's like being in Disneyland for, a week, 10 days.
Have you had some younger players in camp the last couple of...
Yeah.
Who's been there in the last couple of years?
Nick Kotrick was there as a 19-year-old.
Luai was there.
Yeah, Luai was there.
Crichton
Crichton was there last year.
Well, last year was an exception, of course, with the extended squad.
Yeah, who else? Trying to think of all the 18th and 19th players we've had. Yeah, they're normally young blokes.
Because
The
Queensland are
team's
talking
been
about-
very, like, I think the last
Sam
couple of
Walker,
years is, I think we had like the youngest team just about ever.
And they get plenty out of that?
Oh, it's great.
Oh, yeah. You know what else? They get to train with the team.
Yeah.
They get to see how the other blokes prepare. Then they get to know the other guys. They get to hang out with them during the week and build a relationship.
You
It'd
turn
be
up
good fun. It'd be great
Have
imaging
you
around
been to?
Origin.
Yeah, have you been to like a session at Origin? There's 50 media there. There's cameras everywhere. Like, every game's like, every session, training session is like a game. You walk down there and you can get overwhelmed pretty quick. So they learn that very early that, forget all that, just come and concentrate. So it really helps that part of their training.
Speaking of young guns, Joseph Suwali almost got on the field last week as 18th man. Probably should have.
Wow.
Now, they're talking about resting Sam Walker this week.
Is that what you heard from the blokes?
That's
The
guys,
crossword puzzle.
Crossword mafia.
Right? And they know?
I know a lot of things.
Do they do racing tips?
Mate, they're
Is it
very-
time to unleash
They told me
Joseph
very
Suwali?
Last week they told me pretty much point for point what was going to happen in the budget.
What?
They told me what was going to happen in the budget.
What, the Nick Politis budget or the federal budget?
Not
Wow.
Josh Frydenberg. He doesn't juggle that much like me.
Yeah.
Is it time to give the kid a run in a depleted Roosters team? Or should they be shielding him more when you consider how understrength the team is at the moment?
No, it's good. I think it's perfect now.
Well, if the whispers are true and Joseph Manu goes into 5'8", then he plays centre.
Yeah.
How exciting. So that's what the crossword mafia are saying?
Yeah.
Wow.
I used to go and sit with the crossword mafia on Fridays, and they do the cryptics, sitting there in their budgies like every day,
Yeah.
and it's all day. They spend the whole day because what's the gentleman's name? He does the show on the ABC or SBS. What's it called? Anyway,
That's narrowed it down for us.
no, it's the
I'll tell you, if you went
letters and numbers. Great show.
I'll tell you, if you went down there, mate, you get some really good wallets out of the skin. There's some bit of leather on those skins.
It's like the crocodile farms in Darwin. They've got the skin farms at Bronte.
Sam Walker, yeah, probably needs a rest. He's been getting hit. He got hit. Was it last week? He got hit, or no, against Newcastle. He got hit after he kicked.
They've been hiding him a bit too in defence, haven't they?
But mate,
No, he does a good job of that,
He holds
but-
his hands up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I'm on to Joey's thing. I'm thinking all discipline in, like we're talking about on the show on 100% footy. Rugby league needs to become the most disciplined game out of all of them. And I think taking out halfbacks, unless anything unnecessary, should just be come down on very heavily.
I thought you made that point very well on 100% footy. Magic round. When are you boys heading up? You getting up there early or
Friday lunch.
Friday lunchtime? Friday, Seagulls v Broncos. Good game.
Good game.
Good game.
Wow.
7:30 live here on Nine's Wide World of Sports.
That'd be a great game.
Geez, they'd be pumped for this one, Brisbane, won't they? Like
Oh,
at
yeah.
home, Magic round, full house. There's a bit of a sense they might be able to do something in this game. Turbo's there though.
Yeah.
Tapau's
Maybe
back.
Put something in Turbo's Wheat Bix. and they'd be a chance. How good is it?
Looks strong. Looks pretty strong.
It's like watching under eights. Like the first try on the weekend, he's just there and he goes, doink, and just scores under the post. And then the second try,
What do you reckon the front row did when he looked up and saw Turbo come around and just went, what am I going to do here? I'm just going to stand still.
Saturday night footy too this week because there's no Thursday game. Roosters v Cowboys. Maybe we'll see Joseph Suwali here on Nine's Wide World of Sports.
Wow.
Yeah, I think I'm going to tip the Cowboys.
I've
now.
tipped the Cowboys. Yeah.
Means they've got no chance now. We've
Yeah.
both tipped them. Poor
No, I
Cowboys.
just think they've been really competitive, pretty strong. Tamalalo back. He just adds
They
so
haven't beat
much.
anyone yet.
And
Yeah,
then
it might
Storm
be
v
this
Dragons. So all the three games this weekend, I reckon they're toss-ups. Storm v Dragons with those Storm players out. The Dragons come right into this.
Go on the
Yeah,
Dragons.
but mate, you're looking at the individuals. Storm have their systems in attack and defence. Doesn't matter who goes in there, they get the job done. We're very similar to the Roosters.
Yeah, true.
Like, look at the
Defence.
Roosters. Roosters, 5 or 6 of their best players are out. They're top line players who are rep players. They still get the job done because of the systems and the coaching and, you know, when they get in there, certain players, they don't have to do everything. They just do their job and everyone else does their job and then it all comes together and they're a top team.
Boys, that was good fun. Thanks for having me again.
So hang on. Dragon Storm.
Dragons.
He's gone Dragon.
I'm going
Storm.
Dragons.
Storm.
Let's have a side bet.
What do you want?
Well, $100.
Sure. Are we allowed to?
Mate.
That's
$100.
responsible.
Yeah.
And we'll
Just
get
a lunch
He
or
doesn't.
something.
He doesn't bet. Or lunch.
What about a steak? How are
What
we going to
about-
work it out? Because we're tipping
What
the
about
same
we'll do it
team.
like the man of
Us
the match?
versus
You got to
Fred.
give it to a charity.
Who you're doing?
I'm Melbourne. I think Melbourne will win.
Yeah, I've said Melbourne.
Yeah, but he's tipping the Dragons. So how are you going to work out the side bet? Two of us
100
tipping the
each.
same team.
That's all right. I'll
Or
take
how
this
about
on.
steak?
I'll take both.
Okay.
You want.
If Melbourne win,
Seriously.
you owe us a steak.
Each.
Yeah, steak.
Then what happens if we win? We have to buy him 2 steaks.
He doesn't eat. He's a vegan. This is a perfect bet.
Great bet,
He's
Joey.
a
Well done.
vegan.
Are you just going to confer with me or discuss with me what the bet is? Or are you just going to make it?
No, he's the boss.
I went to a vegan cafe.
We've got to go. We've got to go.
What'd you
give,
have?
Me, give me these ones.
I wanted coffee and
Falafel?
they only had like skunk milk or something. So what do you mean? I just give me some milk.
Skunk
Vegan.
milk.
I said, what's that mean?
Almond milk. You would have had almond
I
milk.
had almond milk. Oh. How do you get milk out of an almond?
The
Far out. What's the world come to?
Goodbye.